Hello, everyone. Good afternoon down there in the Middle East. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. Welcome to the Mining Match. I'm going to do an announcement about Spanomine. If you speak Spanish and you are in the mining business, you should join Spanomine. We provide professional development and connection to the Hispanic community. Today, we're going to discuss about a topic that it has to do with sustainable mining, about recycling, but the best way to call it now is urban mining. Where are all the metals that we have produced in the mining industry? They are all waste in dumps and we don't use it anymore. Well, there is a business about mining or recovering all those metals that were mined for decades in the mining industry. So today, our guest speaker is graduate student from Turkey. She has done some research and she will discuss about urban mining. Now, I want to warn you that this is a recorded presentation because of the remote location that Angela is. But Angela is with us. I don't know if you can say hello, Angela. Are you there? Well, I will start the presentation right now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Today we'll be talking about urban mining, a fortune in waste. I'll start immediately by introducing myself. My name is Angela Manka, Tita. I am a graduate student at Eskişehir Osman Gazi University in Turkey in the Department of Mining Engineering. And I'm doing research in areas of mineral processing and hydrometallurgy. We are working on projects like recovery of base metals from mine tailings, and also recycling of permanent magnets. And areas of interest: recycling technologies, impact analysis, and sustainable ecosystem. Here you have my email, and here as well we have my LinkedIn link. So we start with an introduction. We can see from this picture that there are so many tons of materials that can be used after they have already been used, like they can be reused to create wealth. But these stones are actually lying useless. They are not being touched. They stay in the landfills and dumps. Things like electronic waste, things like end-of-life vehicles, building stock, all of them offer valuable recycling opportunities that we can use to save our economies. Now, we'll be asking ourselves, what is urban mining? Yeah, let's look at this picture. It's an interesting picture. I love this picture very much. You can see the amount of mobile phones that are here, and people are stepping on them. It depicts the rate at which electronic devices are being used and dumped, whereas the lies within these mobile phones and other electric devices, so many minerals that can be reused to gain that can be reused to save our economies a great deal. So urban mining actually is the process of recycling or recovering elements and compounds from already used spent products, buildings, or waste, electrical waste. And this term, urban mining, was coined by a Japanese professor named Hideo Nandio, and it was in the year 1988. At the time, he used it to describe storage of used electric products and from where the metals can be used to produce, where metals in these used products can be extracted. Now we ask ourselves, why urban mining? Why do we need to urban mine? I have here some small statistics. Did you know that every year we have approximately 7,500 tons of silver and 320 tons of gold that are used to make cell phones, computer, and electronic devices? This is a crazily huge amount. Yearly means on an annual rate, this is what is being consumed. You can imagine if we get now into our mobile phones that are being used and they are surely maybe they don't function anymore or they are outdated, we go back to these urban mines and then we extract this our silver and gold. It will save us, it will save our planet a lot. It will also reduce the pressure on our lands, and it will reduce the pressure of primary mining. So 7,500 tons of silver, 220 tons of gold is a very big number, which it should be very alarming why we need to urban mine. The consequences are on our natural resources. Our lands are overexploited, producing numerous environmental and economic hazards, while tons of minerals are lying in the waste materials. This is very practical and it's true. We know how much technology is becoming a day-to-day thing, and every household has a number of electronic devices, which is a great source of mining, a great source of minerals and metals that are lying useless. And also, urban mining plays a significant role in this situation by relieving pressure from primary resources. And according to Global E-Sustainability Initiative, 1 ton of e-waste holds more than 17 tons of ore. This is crazy. You know that. 1 ton of e-waste holds more than 17 tons of ore. You can't get this from a primary ore of gold. You can't get this. So we know that just 1 ton of primary ore will give a few grams. Will give a few grams, but now e-waste we have 17 tons. This is very, very, it's amazing, and that is why we need to urban mine. Yeah, we just see a couple of other pictures here, we see this computer. Some of them could be outdated, others could be non-functioning computers here and there. Technology is so fast, and you need to keep up. So what if we went back to this, our waste, and look for solutions to recover the minerals and metals that were used? It will go a very long way. So now we're going to ask ourselves, why urban mining? Okay, we already asked that. Now we'll be looking at the reasons. The first is the environmental impact. We know that primary mining activity has a lot of negative environmental footprints that it leaves. Things such as deforestation, contamination of water resources, erosion, increase in emissions, and so on. So these environmental impacts will reduce if we tend to look at the possibilities found in taking these mines from urban mines, taking these minerals from urban mines rather than pressuring the land too much. The second point is the pressure from conventional mining and overexploitation of primary resources will definitely drop. This is what we have already been talking about. Overexploitation of resources will definitely drop. We cannot say that urban mining has the capacity of completely replacing primary mines. We cannot say that, but it will go a long way to reduce the pressure on primary mining. And I think I read a document before that said it can reduce the pressure of urban mining by up to 40%. 40% is not a small number, So reducing the pressure by up to 40%, it's a very big deal for our planet. And for our environmental friendliness. The next point is economical upside. So you know that urban mines are considered to be waste. These are things that they are trash deserving. They are trash deserving. And what is something which has zero perceived value is transformed to something of full value. We are already, it's very evident. It's very evident that it's very economical because it was useless and now it has become useful, and we can actually extract important minerals from these mines, these urban mines. And then let me read this one. A gold ore will only produce 5 to 10 grams of gold per ton of ore. Like, yeah, we mentioned this a moment ago. A gold ore will produce only 10 to 5 grams of gold per ton, but a PCB will produce 140 to 700 grams of gold per ton of PCB. PCB is print circuit boards. Yeah, 140 to 700 grams. That's a great deal. So an urban mine has more mining potential than a conventional primary mine. This sounds funny, but it's the truth in terms of recovery of our minerals. So this says that we are literally making more money from trash than from us. How amazing. The third point is consistency with SDGs. What are SDGs? SDGs are Sustainable Development Goals. I think most, if not all of us, know what SDGs are, and we definitely don't need a soothsayer to tell us that it is urban mining is in line with SDGs because it is a recycling technology. It has recycling tendencies, so it definitely is consistent with the SDGs. And yeah, for those who might not know, I'm just gonna talk a little like SDGs. That's Sustainable Development Goals. There are actually 17 of them in number, and were adopted by the United Nations in 2015. These are ambitious goals to protect our environment, to end poverty and ensure prosperity within the framework of 169 targets over a 15-year period. These are SDGs. So there are 17 of them, but with urban mining, they said they are mainly covered by SDG number 11 and SDG number 12, with some little relation with SDG number 3, 6, 8, and 14. So SDG number 11 talks about sustainable cities and communities. The SDG number 12 talks about responsible consumption and production. So any activity which is in line or consistent with SDGs is worth considering. So let's go to the next point. Urban mining stands as a savior to critical minerals. You know, critical minerals, these are actually the focus of those of us that are in the mineral sector. And it's very, very important. First of all, just as a reminder what critical minerals are. Critical minerals are minerals that are crucial to our world's emerging economies, yet there's a supply risk in the near future, which could be due to geological scarcity or economic issues or whatever issues that we might not really know, but there is actually a perceived scarcity in the near future. So in order for us to ensure that these critical minerals do not become scarce in the near future, there are certain steps that we could take, which urban mining stands as one of the possible solutions to curb the problem of this criticality of certain very important minerals. So we know for our world emerging economies, especially now with the fast-growing technology, we have the minerals such as rare earth elements, nickel, cobalt, lithium. These elements are actually very, very important in our growing technology, and Right now, we are very concerned and focused on green technologies. We are looking towards a green economy, towards a green world, and all these technologies which are green and new, they make use of these elements which are critical. And what do we need to do? We need to go back to our trash and recover our elements which are critical, since our primary lands might not be able to meet up with the demand in the nearest future. Now, we take an example like rare earth elements. Rare earth elements, 90% of rare earth elements are being exported by China to other countries. You see, so China is practically a monopolist when it comes to the subject of rare earth elements. And rare earth elements are really important, in this our new technologies, really when it comes to the production of permanent magnets. You see that rare earth elements, the neodymium in particular, is very instrumental in the production of these powerful permanent magnets. And when they become critical, it's going to affect all these new technologies which require strong permanent magnets. And we need to look for solutions in order to recover these rare elements from our mines. Even looking at nickel as well, nickel is becoming critical, and we have this transition now from fuel consuming cars to electric cars, and nickel is a very important component in the production of the lithium ion cell batteries. So you can imagine if nickel becomes critical, it's going to affect our transition into a greener world. So we need to look for other ways to recover our minerals which are critical. So we need to turn back to our trash and recover our minerals. The next point is that urban mining creates opportunities for job creation, entrepreneurship, and higher standards of living. So we know that nowadays jobs are really hard, especially in the developing countries. So many young people are unemployed, and some of them are still waiting on the government for employment, which might never happen. So these are opportunities where young people can come up with the initiative to go dig up the trashes, take up the minerals from those trashes and make money out of them. It is an opportunity to make money for entrepreneurs. It also creates jobs. Those who can bring about enterprises that they can use to actually employ other people in order to urban mine and extract those minerals. Then we are not only creating employment for themselves, they're creating it for other people who are unemployed, and it will bring about an increase in the standard of living in that community. And also, the last point seems funny, but it's true. Those who love gold but cannot mine, they have the opportunity. You can imagine, I'm not a mining engineer, and I don't know how to go down there and dig the soil or whatever, do underground stuff, but I can look for ways in actually getting that gold from my waste. You see, that's really interesting. Look for ways, like maybe I am someone who works in the lab. I know that I can use this particular acid to dissolve this particular electronic device. And when I dissolve it, I know that gold will be in that solution, and I'll look for ways to extract that gold from that solution. I'm not a mining engineer, but there's a way that I can come in contact with gold. It's so wonderful. So it offers opportunities to so many people who could be interested. And then we're looking at the next point, which is the pace of technology and electrical demand is overwhelming. This one I cannot overemphasize. It cannot be overemphasized because we know how fast technology is advancing. The pace is overwhelming. The pace is we cannot keep up with this pace. I think it's so difficult keeping up with the pace. The way things are changing in terms of technology, Today you're seeing this, the next second there's an update. You want to keep up. It's so crazy. And when these things are happening, what does it mean? It means that software is being replaced. It means that the hardware also need to be replaced. These hardware and these components are made up of the minerals and metals. So as technology is advancing, that's how this hardware is being replaced. And as much as it is being replaced and replaced and replaced, there will come a time where there will be shortage. So what do we do? The moment it's being replaced, we go back to the one that has been used. We get our gold. The moment it's been replaced, we go back to the one that has been disposed of. We remove our minerals. The moment it's been replaced, we go back to the one which is outdated. We remove our minerals, and in this way, we are sure that before there will ever be some criticality, or there will ever be some shortage, we have tried to curb the situation by going to our waste and recovering our minerals. Okay, the next point is constant supply of metals and minerals that have to be mined. Some are already critical, okay? And the solution, not the solution, but a solution, okay? Pardon me here. A solution is found in recycling the obsolete hardware in technology. Very, very important. Okay, so right now we're looking at the problems here. You see that there are so many problems. It's true that urban mining is very good, but there are so many problems that uh, uh, urban mining is surrounded by, and we need to look into these problems. Some economies and some governments are really looking into finding solutions to the problems that urban mining faces, so that we'll have a more efficient urban mining in our economies. Problems such as lack of policies and laws governing recycling processes. This is a very important one because some governments and some countries, they don't have policies, and because these policies do not exist, it's a drawback to some people who are willing or have the initiative to start urban mining or to start recycling. So if government can see how they can do to implement these policies, then it will be a problem. It will be a good thing to solve this problem. The next problem is rudimentary recycling, especially in developing countries, which could be dangerous to the environment. Yeah, in developing countries, some people are already doing urban mining, but the the recycling technologies are very rudimentary, so bad, in such a way that their carbon emissions are so high, and the footprints that are left are terrible, and so that's a big problem. The next problem is the recycling methods. They include the conventional ones, which are pyro and hydrometallurgy. Pyrometallurgy is energy intensive. Hydrometallurgy is chemical intensive, which uses strong acids and produces toxic wastes, which are dangerous to the environment. So these are also methods which are dangerous to the environment, which acts as a problem. Another problem is trash from landfills and dumps. They are not being sorted. You know, trash cans are just one trash can where you have food waste, you have electric waste, you have all kinds of waste in the same place. To sort them is a problem, especially for urban mining. And here now we have possible solutions to these problems, stretching up policies and legislations that back up recycling technologies in every country. It's so important. And another solution here is state of the art recycling, or we call them emerging recycling technologies, where different methods are being found in order to replace the conventional ones which have environmental footprints. The next is the separation of trash cans into glass, plastics, electronics, etc. in our homes, schools, and offices to facilitate sorting and specificity during recycling processes. Yeah, it's very important. We need to do sorting. We need to sort our trash. Like nowadays, it's getting more and more common, and it's very, very good in our offices, in our homes, to ensure that where we keep trash for food, trash for electronics, trash for toilet, and different trash for each of them has their compartment, so that when it comes to sorting which particular one is used for urban mining, there will be no stress of going deep into filthy different kinds of trash to actually obtain our raw material for urban mining. Another solution is biorecycling methods. So these ones are very common nowadays, where bacteria is being used to dissolve the metal and acids are not used. Okay, so here we have a very good question. Yeah, okay. After all is said and done, how do we recover these minerals and metals from urban mines? After all is said and done, how do we recover these minerals and metals from urban mines? It's very, very important. Yes, it's good to urban mine, or it has so many advantages and so on and so on. Right now, I have gone about looking for trash and I want to urban mine. Now, what do I do with this trash? What are the processes that I will use in order to obtain the desired minerals from this trash? So here we're going to look at them. Let's look at these methods of recovering minerals and metals from urban mines. The methods could be divided into conventional and state-of-the-art. The conventional methods are pyrometallurgy, hydrometallurgy, and recently we have biometallurgy. For the state-of-the-art technologies, we could call them also emerging technologies. Yeah, new technologies that are coming to replace the conventional ones. A small flow sheet showing the different methods that we could use. Yeah, here we have our urban mine and the processing methods. So the methods that we can use to recover them, they could be conventional or they could be state of the art. For the conventional methods, we have pyrometallurgy, hydrometallurgy, biometallurgy. But prior to pyro, hydro, and biometallurgy, we have mechanical technologies, which is a form of pre-treatment. And in this pre-treatment, stage, we could call it a stage. In this pre-treatment stage, we could have processes like removal of non-metallic materials, such as plastic. When we are doing urban mining, we could take an electronic device which is made up of different minerals, but these minerals are embedded in plastic. For us to remove that plastic from the minerals before proceeding with the other processes, it will fall under mechanical technologies. And then pyrometallurgy is a very energy intensive method, uses high energy, and high energy chemical reactions. We have processes such as incineration, volatilization, and so on. And this is what makes it really not appropriate because of its high energy intensity. And nowadays, we are looking for methods that are that have less environmental footprints. Now, the next one is hydrometallurgy, which is another conventional method. This one it's more environmental friendly and it is highly selective. Like it has highly selective properties. It could actually pick out the desired mineral in a very selective way, and their recovery efficiencies are high, which makes hydrometallurgy the focus of so many researchers nowadays because of these properties. Yeah, but it also has disadvantages, like the precipitation methods. Okay, I've not even mentioned the different processes that are involved in hydrometallurgy. We have leaching processes, we have precipitation, we have solvent extraction, and we have electrowinning, those processes that are found in hydrometallurgy. But processes like precipitation under hydrometallurgy, a lot, there are times that a lot of solid is being filtered out. And this solid is the waste, it's not desired. So what do? We throw it away, but they contain very high amounts of acid, which is dangerous to the environment, or they could be passed to flowing streams, and it's not so good. So this toxic waste with high chemical, um, high acid content or high basic content is a disadvantage to hydrometallurgy. So it's also a disadvantage when it comes to environmental footprint, but it does have its own um, advantages as well. And also it has, production of some gases which could be also toxic. It's a problem. So we go now to biometallurgy. Biometallurgy is another way. It could also be called biological metallurgy. This one is the use of bacteria. They use bacteria in order to bacteria is used to dissolve or to decompose the metal in solution. So instead of the use of acid in the case of hydrometallurgy, bacteria is being used, which is very, very important, and it's innovative because it's environmentally friendly. The most famous bacterium which is used is called Chromobacterium violatum. This is a famous one, and it has been applied for metal recovery from e-waste. And some different bacteria are also being used, which are very, very interesting. And it is a very environmentally friendly process. Now, when we look at state of the art, which are also called emerging technologies, they are wonderful technologies actually. And as we are talking right now, a lot more processes and methods are being found by researchers in order to ensure that while we are doing recovery of mines, urban mines, we are taking into consideration our environment. We are limiting footprints, and we are making sure that our recovery efficiency is also high. Examples are electrochemical, mechanochemical, supercritical, ionic, an example, and etc. So for mechanochemical technology, we see that this involves physical chemical transformation generated by mechanical forces. So this mechanochemical technology actually, it is actually the same like hydrometallurgy, for example, but the difference is that prior to the leaching activity, some physical or some mechanical activity takes place, which could be ball milling. And when that ball milling is done, it brings about some reaction and it improves on the leaching process. Okay, and then now I'll talk about the electrochemical. For electrochemical, it's also like hydrometallurgical, yeah, but it contains two different processes, which is anodic generation of oxidizers and cathodic electrowinning. And the amazing thing is that these two processes can be done in the same cell. And when they are done in the same cell, what does it mean? It means that there's cost is being saved, energy is being saved because two processes have been combined into one, which is highly innovative. And then the next is supercritical fluid technology. This one is very interesting, but it has not been very much used in e-waste recycling, but it shows very high. It shows that it could have a high potential in the e-waste recycling. An example of a supercritical fluid is supercritical carbon dioxide. Yeah, but We don't know. It's mostly used in the decomposition of organic polymers. Uh, there's not much data on e-waste, but as I said earlier, there is potential for its use in the future. And then we have the next, which is ionic liquid technology. This one is also like solvent extraction in hydrometallurgy. Yeah, it's like solvent extraction, ionic. Yeah, so it is actually an alternative to solvent extraction. It is also a very innovative. It is it's a very innovative process, and its selectivity is higher than that of solvent extraction in hydrometallurgy, which is a good thing. And also, it has another advantage, which is that it could be recycled. The ionic liquid can be used in one process and then recycled and used again, which is a good thing for us. Yeah, that it has a disadvantage, which is that it needs large scale, and this large scale it's cost. It's a lot of cost and might not be appropriate for small laboratories. Yeah, there are other ones, we have hydrogen decrypitation is an example. This one's is mostly used in recovery or the recycling of permanent magnets. Hydrogen decrypitation, there's no use of acid or anything. It's just pressure, high pressure, which has been applied in order to decompose the magnet. So there are interesting other technologies that are coming up every day in order to build up a strong background when it comes to processing, recovery, recycling of our mine waste. So I know that by the time we have finished talking, there are other ones which will be discovered. So we are left with so many options from which we could choose. Now, let's see, here now we have methods like the considerations that we'll make. What do we consider when we want to choose a method? There are, as we said before, there are so many methods to recover minerals, but what are the things that we need to consider in order to choose the particular method that will be appropriate for a particular recovery of a particular metal or mineral from the mine? The first option is the compatibility of the process with the desired metal or mineral. We see that this is actually the most important because if a process is not compatible with, if it's not compatible with the desired metal, then we are wasting our time, you see. So we need to know what is our desired metal. Is it zinc? Are we recovering zinc from this waste? Yes, we are recovering zinc. Okay, this other process, it has this. What should we take into consideration? This particular element is here. If it mixes with zinc, it will bring about something which is wrong. We cannot use sulfuric acid here because it will cause it will reduce the selectivity of the recovery and so on and so forth. So we are looking at different ways to ensure that that process is compatible with the desired metal. The next point is recovery efficiency. We need to know this one is very important, especially in the economical aspect. While we are doing everything, we're ensuring that we want to have benefits. So what is your recovery efficiency? If we have a recovery efficiency of 80 to 90%, 90 to 100%, it's fair and good. But if we have very low recovery efficiencies, then that particular method is not appropriate. We should look for a method which will give us a higher recovery efficiency. The next is the environmental impact. This is also very important as we are moving into a green world. You see, I even put this in green to show us that we are moving into a green world. Green technologies are applied, it's not by accident, it's because we are becoming more conscious of our environment and we are trying to limit carbon emission as much as possible. So when we are doing our processes, we are taking into consideration all the necessary all the necessary things that we need to do in order to prevent that there will be environmental footprint. So your process could be wonderful, high recovery efficiency, compatible, but do you have some conscience? Do you have some conscience, or are you conscious of your environment? Do you think about your next generation? If you do, then you will also consider what your process is doing to your environment, which is detrimental, and then you will make an adjustment. The next consideration we'll take is the overall cost. Yeah. After all is said and done, the cost is very important because that is where everything lies. You're doing your urban mining, you have wonderful compatibility, you're taking care of the environment, you have a high recovery efficiency, but if the cost is too high, then what are you doing? You are an entrepreneur and you need to make benefits. So you need to take into consideration the cost so that you know that this is an economically friendly process. And so because it's economically friendly, then I can get into it because I know that I would not only be providing a solution to my economy, I will also be providing benefit to myself. So that's very important. So let's take note of these four considerations when we are trying to choose which method to use. And then we get to our conclusion. Urban mining so far is being implemented everywhere in the world. That's talking on a general perspective, but there's still a lot of work to be done in valorizing our waste and in adopting a circular economy because it's a circular economy that will take us there to a greener economy and to better standards of living. It's a circular economy. So this will also help us to be nicer to our planet. You know, we are also considering our next generations when we are doing things. It's very, very important. And of course, we'll also make money. We'll make money, which is something which is quite interesting. So it starts with you and me. Let's be urban miners. So let's go. Thank you very much. I am so grateful for your kind attention, and I hope that we'll all be urban miners after this presentation. Thank you so much, and I'll be looking forward to answering your questions if there are any.